is Travis Dabney. He's the president and CEO of the 12-Man Foundation. He's got some news about 12-Man Plus. You want to start with an opening statement or go straight to questions?
Let's go straight to questions and do my best, because I did prepare an opening statement. You didn't tell me that, Brad. That's all good.
From your understanding, is this the first NIL collective to operate under the main athletic booster club in the country?
So we're not a collective. We are a 501c3 that has supported Texas A&M athletics for 73 years. There is one other fundraising organization in the SEC that set up something similar to this, not exactly, and that is the Razorback Foundation at University of Arkansas.
Travis, what prompted this for y'all to do this?
Brent, I think more than anything, this has been an evolving space. And we kind of sat back and looked over the last 18 months, and the conversation that was happening at the 12th Man Foundation with our board of trustees and staff was, hey, how can we potentially be helpful and provide an advantage for Texas A&M University athletics? And so, we spent a lot of time studying this, ask a lot of questions, both independent of Texas A&M University and then ultimately informing Texas A&M University and working with them on the right way to approach it and make sure that it was compliant. But in the end, we believe this fulfills our mission, and we believe that it presents an opportunity for a competitive edge in a very competitive collegiate athletic space.
When you, as part of the mechanics of it, are you negotiating individual contracts with individual athletes, or will it be kind of a lump sum to a team kind of thing like we've seen around college athletics?
No, so there will be negotiations or engagements, rather, I think is the appropriate word, with our student athletes at Texas A&M on an individual basis. There has not been any engagements to date. We just set up this program. But ultimately, we'll engage with student athletes that can promote the mission of the 12th Man Foundation. And so there's a lot of work to be done on that, and still in process and getting staff in place to be able to execute that.
Just for clarification's sake, is this its own separate 501c3, or does it operate under the same 501c3 as the 12th Man Foundation?
This currently operates under the 12th Man Foundation 501c3 setup, yes.
The priority point seems to be a real draw for donors. Could you just kind of speak to that and how that helps them from their end?
Yeah, obviously, there's a lot of entities out there that have been participating in this NIL space, but the 12th Man Foundation has the ability, with what we're setting up, to provide a tax receipt, Brent, and priority points. It will be a positive draw for donors as they look to potentially support this NIL program, 12th Man Plus.
What exactly are priority points? Like, just what's an example of that, for instance?
So priority points are awarded when you are a donor to the 12th Man Foundation. It's 4 points per $100 of giving. There are other ways to accumulate points, but that's the primary one. And that is a ranking system for distribution of benefits that the 12th Man Foundation provides, whether it be parking, priority seating inside a athletic venue, etc.
Can a donor specify what sport he wants it to benefit, or does it just go into one time?
Yeah, Olin, the donor contributors to this NIL program or 12th Man Plus do have the ability to specify a specific sport. So every sport on campus here will have a fund. And so if a donor chooses to support women's basketball, they can restrict that support to that specific sport. We also have a general fund that they can make essentially in an unrestricted capacity to support this program.
How long of a process was this in the making? Kind of when was the first seeds of the idea, and how kind of arduous of a process has this been?
So really got started in July last summer, really started taking a significant look at it. I don't know if I would qualify it as arduous, but I definitely would qualify it as detailed. And there was a lot of attention paid to making sure that we were compliant, that all the governing bodies, entities were aware of what our intentions were. And so, yeah, there is a lot of attention to detail, a lot of work put in by a lot of different people. And so appreciative of getting to this point today and making this announcement and start bringing in some dollars and looking to engage with student athletes.
So you mentioned Arkansas being the only one that's in the similar structure as this. Why do you think? What is it about Texas A&M and the way that y'all put this together that allowed this to come to place? It's something that seems like it would be an obvious next step for this to go.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the 12th Man Foundation is pretty unique in college athletics and the development fundraising. Ross has been several places, a lot of really big schools, and has a breadth of experience here, and he knows this as well as anybody. The 12th Man Foundation, Razorback Foundation, Tiger Athletic Foundation at LSU, Clemson's fundraising organization, IPTAY, Seminole Boosters at Florida State. These are separate entities oftentimes, but most fundraising organizations operate within the framework of the athletic department. And so our independent status, we have a governing board that is selected for the 12th Man Foundation outside the framework of Texas A&M University. We have an affiliation agreement, but our governance is by a 15-member board of trustees. It allows us to enter into this in a way that most universities, other universities could not, because their development operation would be in-house.
Travis, how do you go about researching something like this, and how much input were you able to get from people affiliated with A&M, whether it's athletes, coaches, things like that?
So there's some people in this room that we've had multiple meetings discussing with athletics what our intentions were, how we were going to remain compliant, and so that this would work. The last thing that we would want to do is bring any dishonor to Texas A&M University, and so we spent a lot of time talking about that to make sure that there were some bright lines that we knew, hey, we can't cross these. And so considerable time and effort was put into that from a lot of different people within the 12th Man Foundation and Texas A&M University.
You said that you made it clear with the governing bodies of your intentions with 12th Man Plus. What did the NCAA say when you proposed it?
I did not have that conversation with the NCAA. That conversation was housed with Texas A&M University, that discussion. So I couldn't speak to that.
How do you anticipate this project kind of working complementary of other fan-run collectives, in the NIL ecosystem, and maybe some benefits to this one?
Yeah, I mean, clearly, so the 12th Man Foundation's got a 73-year history, right? So we've got some skins on the wall. People know who we are. We're transparent. And so we didn't just set up our organization in the last 18 months and start calling people, say, hey, give us money. They know when they give us money that it causes action, right? There was a $91 million check presented to Ross right out here at mid-court a couple of weeks ago of donor support to Texas A&M University athletics. So I think the reputation that the 12th Man Foundation has will be a real positive in this. And then obviously priority points, tax receipts, and that comfort knowing that you're giving to an organization that has a long history of fulfilling its mission. I think that'll be a real positive.
Was a big objective with this to simplify in terms of donors looking to support A&M athletics, not knowing where to go to be able to house it all under one roof, so to speak?
I don't know if I'd qualify it as an intention, but it's certainly a positive. I think when we looked at it, it was, again, how do we fulfill our mission at the 12th Man Foundation, which is funding scholarships, programs, and facilities in support of championship athletics? We want to live up to our mission, and it's an evolving space. And so we had to evolve as an organization.
to your answer about other collectives that might live in the ecosystem, do you see yourself, I know it's a weird world, do you see yourself as in competition with them? Would you like to see eventually down the line a consolidation within just 12 man plus? How do you live in that same ecosystem?
So you're talking about collectives that potentially support Texas A&M
right.
athletics. So I don't. I'm not looking to consolidate collectives. I'm not. We're going to do our job at the 12th Man Foundation, and if there are others that want to engage in different ways to support Texas A&M athletics, we're 100% supportive of people doing that in a way that makes them comfortable and they feel good about.
Did you get any calls today for anyone pledged donations already?
Yes.
You say, how many calls you might have got?
It was a lot. I'm not trying to be coy. I really don't know, Olin, how many calls I took. I know I don't have any battery left on my phone. But we had gifts that were made today. We had one-time gifts. We had recurring gifts. We had significant gifts that were made. But I think the message that I think is really important is that in the evolving space of college athletics, NIL is going to be a requirement for us to remain competitive and for us to support our athletic program. And so we're going to need donors to step up and support this in a big way.
We've got time for a couple more.
How do you guys go about assessing, like what measurements y'all use to know what fair market value is? Are there this thing, that thing, that thing? How do you guys kind of measure that?
So we'll ultimately engage with accounting firm that help us establish what fair market value is and get some independent thought on that is our intention currently.
How hopeful are you for the other sports, particularly the non-revenue sports, that this structure can kind of make it easier for some of those donors interested in specific sports to kind of key in instead of having to individually track down athlete by athlete, to kind of have a simpler way to say, basically I want to support this program?
Yeah, I think some of the messages that I've heard today from some individuals that already support the 12th Man Foundation is, hey, look, we're excited about the ability to support women's basketball in this way, or some other sports whose scholarship outlay may not be as aggressive as maybe a football or a sport like that. So I think donors are going to and always have. They have sports that really matter to them, and they will use this as an avenue to support young men or young women in that capacity, and again to provide a competitive advantage.
All right, I think that's a wrap.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
I got way more questions than I expected.